episode 24, guys, and I'll be honest, I'm not my usual cheery self because, deep breath to start off, guys. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling this. There seems to be a shift in how things are going in the UK at the moment, and not in a good way. Not in a good way whatsoever. Let's talk about the major talking points recently. That kid, what was his name? Henry Novak. And he passed away because of a Sikh person attacked him. And then the Sikh person realised what he'd done, called the police, and then blamed Henry and said, this white kid, he's racially abused me. The police turned up, he's told the police, I've been attacked. The police have done a brief check and not seen anything, not believed him, and he's ended up passing away. Very sad, extremely sad. And this case was on trial this week. And the CCTV footage came out of it, so body cam footage came out of it. And it was quite shocking to see it. In fact, I'll be honest, I've not actually watched the full thing. I've seen very brief snippets of it, and every time I go to watch it, I get a feeling where I can't watch it. It's just too much for me, to be completely honest. It's a real human being who's died, and I can't get even an educational level of time for it. Does that make sense? I can't even give it the time of day educationally to want to understand what happened, so I'm going to watch the video. I read articles about it and I read little bits here and there. And it's phenomenally sad what happened. And I'm taking a lot of deep breaths here because I think this topic should be covered and discussed in a very delicate way, because it is such a delicate situation that it shouldn't just be dealt with clunkily. And I feel like a lot of people have been discussing it in a very clunky, heavy, ham-fisted kind of way, because they want to kind of push their agenda and they want to go, this is what I believe, and I can weaponize this moment into fitting my narrative. But let's just look at it from a balanced point of view. He's done that. This Digwa guy has done it, and he's ended the life of this poor lad, and then the body cam footage comes out, and then a massive backlash starts to appear against foreigners. This is why it needs to be dealt with very delicately. It's not a backlash against foreigners. There's a backlash against brown people, and there's a backlash against the police. Now, I can understand why there might be a backlash against the police, because it was a police officer. That police officer, in his role serving, whatever you want to say, didn't do a good enough check, and the duty of care wasn't there. You know, whatever. Again, I've not seen the video, but whatever way that you want to describe it, I can understand why someone might be angry at the police. Not to say that it's justified what's happening now, but I can understand where the thought process begins. However, the whole thing that's coming up where all brown people are being blamed for the actions of one person, it's this thing that gets repeated over and over and over again. And I do genuinely feel like now Britain is getting more racist. I just think it's a fact. And a lot of people will go, throwing around the race. No, what else can you call it than racism, what's going on at the moment? Certain people who have large followings in the UK have come out and said and blamed Pakistani gangs for this. Pakistani gangs. This Digwa guy is not Pakistani. They blame Muslim gangs, sorry. Again, a lot of delicacy needs to be used here. Blamed Muslim gangs, and I believe he said Pakistani as well. But either way, this guy is not Pakistani, he's not Muslim, and he didn't act in a gang. He acted by himself, and his family helped to cover it. So again, I understand why people are upset. I'm upset by it. But I'm not going out there blaming every brown person that I see because the actions of one sick person. When I say sick, I mean how you would say Sikh. He was also sick as well, let's be honest, but that's a different story for now. So all this is going on. The racism towards brown people is growing by the day, it feels like, in the UK. And it feels like there's not enough voices in the UK trying to dispel this kind of negative feeling. And there's a lot of people that will say, oh, you're calling us all racist, you're calling us all far right. But there doesn't seem to be a lot of people on the far right calling for peace at the moment. There's a lot of people trying to instigate at the moment and trying to say, get out on the streets, cause drama, cause ruckus, show them that you're not happy. And look what it's leading to. There was multiple demonstrations, attacks on the physical attacks on the police. Now again, you can blame the police as an institution because that person was working for the police under the guidelines he was given, maybe. But how can you blame every single police officer for the actions of one person or the inaction, whatever you want to say? It's just leading to this huge rift in society. In fact, not leading to. It's carried on a further rift in society, which I honestly believe is coming from American politics, because this stuff didn't really seem to exist in the UK, but this real rise in populism and all this kind of stuff seems to be going on, and I don't know how else to describe it. And people are breaking apart at the moment. You look at, I mentioned earlier the fact that it's foreigners being blamed. I don't know where Digwa was born. Novak was born in the UK, but apparently his parents are Polish immigrants. So now I'm very well placed to talk about this because Digwa comes from Punjabi heritage. That's where a lot of Sikhs come from, right? So I've got one Punjabi parent and one Polish parent. So this is a crime from someone with Punjabi parents on someone with Polish parents. Now people in the UK are taking this as one of ours got done in by one of them. That's only going off skin colour. That's all that these people are doing, is they're going off skin colour. They're trying to racialise this topic and trying to create a race war. They're trying to manufacture a race war around this situation, which is so horrible. Like, let's just discuss the fact that Novak's dad came out and said, listen, I do not want this moment to drive further divides within communities. Yet people are going, nah, I don't care. I'm going to use what's happened to your son and I'm going to rub my hands together and I'm going to go, this is what I'm going to use to really push my agenda right now. The fact that people think that they see something awful happen to someone and go, yes, finally, I can use this to add fuel to my fire to really push what I'm trying to push, is absolutely disgusting. Surely the first thought should be, why has this happened and how can we stop it? There is an argument out there that racism is to blame for what happened here, because if racism wasn't such a big issue and the guy phones up the police and says, I've been racially abused, if it wasn't so widespread, the police wouldn't be as quick to believe it. For example, if you phone the police and say, I've been ran over by a cow, they're gonna assume you're not being truthful because it happens so infrequently that if someone was to say, I've just been ran over by a cow, they're going to think it's a lie automatically. But because racism is so widespread, this criminal, Digwa, has weaponized it and been able to use something that is happening out there and then been able to say, oh, this has just happened to me. So when the police have turned up, they believed him automatically because it is such a widespread crime. So anyone who is out there being racist, you're adding to the believability of what Digwa said to begin with. Now, you might not agree with that, but you simply are. Because if cows are running over people 1,000 times a day in the UK, then you phone up and say, I've been over by a cow, the police will take you very seriously because it's happening all the time. Racism is happening all the time now, and that's why the police believed him so quickly. Right, this has happened to you. We can believe it. It's happening all the time. We've seen so many instances of it. We're going to take your word for it straight away. I don't know what happened in the build-up to it. I don't know how any kind of confrontation started. I don't know. But whatever happened, there's no way that he deserved to lose a life. There's no, even if he was racist, there's no way he deserved to lose his life. A lot of people are conflating now what happened here with what happened with George Floyd in America, because Novak said, "I can't breathe." George Floyd said, "I can't breathe." The police didn't listen in both instances, and it led to them passing away. And you look at that, and you do see the parallels there. You see it. And then people are saying, "Oh, you all took the knee for George Floyd. Why are you not taking the knee for Novak?" And again, they're weaponizing this, because the people who are now taking the knee for Henry Novak are not the people who took the knee for George Floyd. Like, they're creating this. And again, I was discussing this with someone the other day, and they were mocking these people. And I said, no, their heart in this instance is in the right place. This lad has lost his life, and it's an awful, awful thing. But the reason why they're being mocked is because they never did it for George Floyd. They're just trying to weaponize this moment to push an agenda. And it is a different thing, because Floyd passed away solely because of what happened with the police, because he wasn't already injured to begin with. Whereas this guy was injured to begin with, so the blame is spread out a bit more than just being on the police. Not that there's, like I say, it deserves so much care and attention, because at the sole root of this, the most important thing to me is Novak. He's the guy who lost his life. He's the most important thing here. He's the one who deserves the majority of the empathy in this situation. And now we talk about the fallout of this situation. The way that people are so quick to weaponize this. And people are turning it into a meme now. So when he told the police officer what happened to him, the police says, "Oh, I don't think you have, mate." And now that phrase is now being used against people of colour where you can see a crime's happening. So, for example, we heard of the incident that happened in Ireland this week where I think a guy from Somalia, I think he was from. I don't know what the current situation of the victim is, but has severely injured a victim, to say the least. And then there was riots in Belfast, and I saw footage of it was like an Asian shop, or like an Asian grocery shop in Belfast, and it'd been burned down, and there's loads of comments saying, "Nah, it hasn't, mate. No, it hasn't, mate." And loads of different variations of that. And again, the fact that these people clearly do not believe in justice. All they believe is one side versus another. I'm on this side, these people are on the other side. And it is a race thing. They're making it only about race. That's all they're making it on. Because they don't know the political views of the other person. They don't know the religion of these people. They are solely focusing on race. And again, religion doesn't really matter to these people now. Well, actually, religion kind of does matter, but doesn't, because let's be honest, Belfast, it had a massive problem between Protestants and Catholics for 40 years? I don't know the actual number, but it was about 30 years, wasn't it? And Digwa is a Sikh, yet Muslims are getting blamed for it, but just because of the brown thing. So people are now kind of being like, it's whites versus browns. They're trying to really drive this race war. So when this happened at what looks like an Asian shop, all these people in the comments being like, "No, I don't think so, mate. Don't think so, mate," because that's what was said to Novak. So they're all being like, no. This got said to a white person. Let's say it to them now. Let's see how they're like it. And it's like, this isn't an us versus them thing. I completely understand your outrage that this poor young lad lost his life. I completely understand that. But if you are now going to weaponize what's happened to him and look at something awful happening to someone else being like, "Nah, that's not happened," you are clearly in the wrong, and you clearly do not care about justice. You clearly only want to back your one side. It's happening now on our doorstep. I'm from Bolton. An imam from Bolton, which is a Muslim cleric for someone who doesn't know what an imam is, his house got petrol bombed. Footage of that has gone all over the internet today. There's people in Bolton who didn't even know about it. I spoke to someone about it today. People in Bolton don't even know about it. Everyone knows about the Novak situation. Everyone knows about the Belfast situation because it's an immigrant person or a brown person or a dark-skinned person doing something to a white person. As soon as it's the victim is Asian, people, they do not care. And again, in those comment sections, they were all in it. Nah, I don't think so. The headline said something like house petrol bombed in Bolton, Imam's house, and loads of comments. Nah, it didn't happen, mate. Nah, it didn't happen, mate. Nah, it didn't happen. And I'm like, and people be like, there must be a reason. And I'm like, you really do lose faith in humanity. Because I remember having an argument with someone, a friend of mine, about 5 years ago about racism in the UK, and he said it's worse now than ever. And I said, no, it's better now than ever. It's nowhere near as bad as it used to be. And it is getting worse again. And I think it is because people are pushing this agenda because it's how they make money. And maybe it's because I'm online a lot through making content and putting stuff out there. Maybe it's getting more into my head. And I was talking about this to a mate of mine from Northern Ireland the other day. And I won't mention him because he might not want me to discuss what he's been saying publicly. But he's been just saying how mad it is, what's happening right now in his hometown, in his home city. Like, that all this is going on. Like, I saw a video on the news of a white guy, a white Irish guy, and his house got burnt down. And he told the people, he goes, guys, that's my house. Didn't stop them from doing it. It didn't stop them. They just carried on. People are just, they're intent on showing their rage. And I completely, listen, especially young people, because I remember being a young man and being full of rage and being full of feeling like society wasn't giving me a fair chance. And I can probably point to loads of instances in my life where that might be the case, but eventually you grow past it. But I understand these young people having that rage. But the fact that this guy was there going, guys, that's my house, and they were like, well, so boom, set it on fire. Even though that it doesn't fit the narrative of why they protested in the first place, why they rioted in the first place. It's just, yeah, it makes me really worry for the future of this country. And I feel like it is only going to get worse. And people are actively trying to make it worse. And they're such hypocrites as well. They're such hypocrites. There's people from Bolton who talk about these things. People from Bolton who will use any example of an immigrant, of a dark-skinned person doing something wrong. They will use any example and talk about it widely and publicly. They're not talking about what happens to this imam. They're not talking about other things when it happens locally. And I find it really sad that, like, again, people, when awful things happen locally, they're happy to turn a blind eye if it doesn't fit the narrative. But then they're very quick to say when something happens in Northern Ireland, oh, that's very scary. And it is scary that it's happening. It's 100%, but it's scary that a house got petrol bombed in our hometown. That's scary. I don't know, man. I find the selectiveness of it all just, it makes you lose faith. It makes you lose faith in society. But, you know, that's the start of the podcast. I wanted to talk about it off the top. I did, because I feel like it deserved a long form thing. And I've not done any short form content on it. And I know right now this is very popular stuff and it will get so many views if I put it in short form. But I feel like it doesn't, I've not thought of a way that I would be comfortable doing it in short form. So I wanted to speak about it, at least long form, and at least talk about it. And even then, I don't feel like I can discuss it wholly because there's just so much that goes into it. And there's so many small little elements. And like, I mean, let's look at the way that Polish people are being treated now in 2026. It's amazing. It's amazing the humanity that's being shown to Polish people in British right now. That genuinely is heart-touching. Like, it's a beautiful thing. This Novak thing, it's beautiful that so many people care so deeply about this young man. But it's even more amazing how we were treated as Polish people for the last 20, 30 years. Like, how there was signs saying no Polish vermin, Polish stealing jobs, whatever the phraseology would be at the time. We were really looked down upon for being Polish in the UK for so many years, and all of a sudden that's changed. And it's great that it's changed. But it shouldn't take oh, we want to be racist against someone else now, so we're going to forget about you and we're going to put you on a pedestal for that to happen. And that is what's happened. I don't care what anybody says, that is what's happened. And fair play to so many young Polish people who came over from Poland at a young age, speaking out about it, saying how they were bullied in school for being Polish, how they were looked down upon for being Polish in school. But now people are out here singing Polish praises and stuff like that. The thing is as well, there's people out there who are constantly talking about illegal immigration, and they get conflated with racists all the time. And they'll come out and they say, we're not racist. We're sick of you calling us racist. And I completely empathise with that scenario. If you're frustrated with people coming to the UK and you feel like that they do not have a right here, I understand why you've got a problem with illegal immigration. Even though I might have a different stance on it, I understand where you're coming from. I can empathise with your position. However, if you see all these people acting like racists now, and you're not speaking up about it, you're only going to add fuel to the flames. You're only going to make it worse for you. And again, I understand why they don't come out and say it, because they're going to lose all their racist followers. They're going to lose all their racist fans. But so they don't want to alienate those people, because racist people do agree with them on a lot of these points. And that's why they won't come out and do it. But that's why you guys get conflated with these people. It's sad, man. It's sad, because we all should be working on the same page, and we all should be coming out and saying, why are you petrol bombing a house with children in it? Just to begin with, never mind the fact it's got humans inside, never mind the fact it's got children inside. Why are you doing that? You should not be doing that. We should all be out there looking for this individual and trying to stop him. And I'm saying that right now, and I don't care if that turns out to be a Muslim. That Muslim should be punished, because it could be a Muslim still. It could be a racist who's done it. We don't know who's done it. I'm saying right now, I don't care who's done it. That person needs to be punished, 100%. But there's too many people who only care about their side. Here's another thing. Let's talk about this topic. For so long, Sikhs have joined side with white Islamophobes in the UK to discuss Islamophobic topics and push this Islamophobic agenda. For so long, that's been happening. And at the same time, I'll give full credit to this, there's been Sikhs out there who've been coming out and they've been saying, why are you siding with these racists over the Muslims who are from the same land as us, especially Pakistani, Punjabi Muslims like me? Why are you coming out and speaking out against these people? Why are you so aggressively going at them? And why are you siding with the racists when they'll come after you tomorrow? That's the phraseology, innit, you know? First they came for this people, first they came for the journalists, but I was not a journalist, so I did not speak up. And then they came for the trade unionists, but I was not a trade unionist, and then I didn't speak up. And then they came for the Jews, but I am a Jew, and nobody is sticking up for me now. Like, this is what happens. Look what's happening now. So many people are coming out and speaking out against Sikhs. Again, I won't even name names, but there's a few prominent Sikh people. One of them follows me, in fact, I noticed the other day, who will always say Islamophobic stuff and always push and fuel an Islamophobic agenda and side with racist white people against Muslims and Islamophobic white people against Muslims. They'll do it all the time. And now they're finding themselves at odds with those same people, because now they're realising, oh, this is how quickly the narrative shifts. As a Polish person, I've seen it. We were the worst people 15 years ago. Now no one's bothered. No one's bothered. No, people love us now. If I go walk around and say I'm Polish, people love me for being Polish now. It's interesting, man. It's very interesting that like the way that it's shifting, and like I've been sticking up for Sikhs for bare time, but I'll stick up for them still now, regardless of the ones who would say Islamophobic things in the past. Yeah, guys, that was 24 minutes I've had to talk about that. But it's been weighing on me, this topic, because you see it all over the place and it makes you sad. It makes you sad because you know that people, when they see these awful things, they cannot wait to weaponize it for their main purpose. And This is part of the reason why I will publicly come out and I will speak out against Muslims when they do things wrong, Pakistanis when they do things wrong. I'll come out and speak out against it very publicly every time because I do not want to be a hypocrite myself. And also, I don't I don't want people to get away with things scot-free. If you're a Muslim and you do something wrong, you should be, I want you to be punished. Not because other people are going to look at me and go, why have you not said anything about that? I want you to be punished because that's how justice works. I don't care about your creed or ethnicity. If you do something wrong, I'll be the first in line saying that you should be done. 100%. Right, let's talk about something a bit more fun now because that was way too serious. The World Cup starts today, guys. The World Cup starts today. So it's going to be a hard shift, but I'm going to try my best. I love the World Cup. It's something, and again, I'm going to link it to that actually. I always really look forward to the World Cup, and I get really kind of depressed about it when it comes to an end because I'm like, oh, we're so far away from the next one. But I really, really love the World Cup, right? I will watch every single game if I can. Now, I can't this year because there's a lot of games at 3 a.m. and I'm not staying up that late for it. But I love the World Cup. Just honestly, I can't get enough of it. It's one of my favourite things that I look forward to is the World Cup. And part of the reason why I'm really looking forward to it is genuinely right now, we have an opportunity, if England do well in this World Cup, to heal a few wounds and a few rifts in society, because everyone will be happier. We can get everyone on the same page, get a few black players scoring goals. Hopefully Jed Spence has a good tournament as a Muslim. And hopefully we can start to get people back to the same side, back to where I am, like just trying to be like, guys, come on, let's love each other, man. Let's show each other some brotherly love. Let's get on the same side. Let's hunt down the bad guys together. Let's celebrate the good guys together. And I really want that to be where the UK is. And I do that with my comedy as well. And I go everywhere and I use my comedy as a way to build bridges with audiences who might not know Muslims, who can look at me and go, do you know what? He's changed only if it's 0.01%, if I can just change people's perceptions of Muslims a little bit and be a positive influence, hopefully that can carry on in the future. But with the World Cup starting tonight, it starts in Mexico versus South Africa. Genuinely, I'm so excited. And like, I go back to when I was a kid, the first World Cup I properly remember, 1998, the France World Cup. I remember we sat and we watched one of the England games. I think it was England versus Romania, where they were all blonde. I think we watched that in what year would I would have been in? Year 8, year 8, I was 98. Year 5, I think it was in school. I was sitting there watching it with the other kids in class. We did a sweepstake in school. I had Nigeria. One of my best friends, Alan, had Spain. Spain played Nigeria in the group. Spain went 1-0 up, then Nigeria equalised. Spain went 2-1 up, Nigeria equalised. Spain went 3-2 up, Nigeria equalised. And then Nigeria won 4-3. What a game that was, ladies and gentlemen. And I just remember watching games in that World Cup, Beckham getting sent off and being heartbroken, Michael Owen's goal being incredible against Argentina. What a World Cup. I remember collecting the stickers back in those days. In fact, I've got one of the sticker books right here, so I can go over stuff if I get time in this podcast now. But it genuinely, the World Cup brings me a lot. I'm just feeling happy just thinking about it and talking about it. It brings me a lot of joy, the World Cup. Something so simple. Like, I know a guy, his name is Barry, and he hates football, right? But I talk to him as much as I can about football in a way that makes him understand the references and why it's exciting. And the World Cup, and he sees it, football as pointless, but football to me, especially the World Cup, it's a celebration. You bring all these nations together to compete against each other. The sportsmanship you see between them afterwards and stuff like that. It's just such a great example of multiculturalism in the World Cup and a great example of being proud of where you're from, but also being able to recognise the qualities of other nations as well. It's just like that. To me, I could cry, bro. It's so beautiful. It is a beautiful thing. Anyway, World Cup 2002. I remember the opening game, which was... what was the opening game of World Cup 2002? Was it Brazil versus France? Not Brazil versus France. France versus Senegal. I'm pretty sure it was. Either way, I remember watching France versus Senegal in high school, 2002. and we all sat in our what did they call it? Like a common room, do they call it? We all sat in our year's common room. Now, no one would really ever go in the common room, to be honest with you. Like, you'd have to have like probably no friends to go sit in the common room. But we all sat there. And I remember sitting with like some of the boys who I used to be friends with. In like, I think I was sat next to Ryan Wardle. I don't know why that sticks in my head. And I've got something in my mind of like, I had a bottle of Pepsi Max in my pocket, and I think he was trying to slide it out of my pocket. And I think Ryan Mason was there as well, because them two were always good friends, and like we were in the same class in primary school, so we'd known each other a long. And I'm pretty sure Ryan Wardle was trying to take the bottle out of my pocket. I've got that kind of memory of watching, and we all cheered when El Diouf scored, and they went 1-0 up Senegal, and then Senegal, I think they beat France 2-0. Did Salif Diao score the other goal? Or am I just conflating that because Liverpool signed them both? But either way, like I remember, like that was just a great like time watching that, and then the rest of the World Cup, and then I remember we got the morning off school because the game was starting about 9 o'clock. So they said, you know what, everyone come in school when the game finishes, and Brazil knocked England out with that Ronaldinho goal, that free kick, not free kick. No, wait, it was a free kick, wasn't it? That ends up just looping over Dave Seaman and going in the top corner in the quarterfinals. And we're looking at it like, and Brazil go on to win it. But in the hindsight, everyone's looking going, Brazil, England might have won that. If that fluke goal don't go in, these are the things like, Beckham gets sent off and then they lose on penalties, was it? Against Argentina? I think it was on penalties against Argentina. Then you go up to World Cup 2010. Now I'm at university. So see the stages of my life. One in primary school, one in high school. No, I've missed 2006. Where was I 2006? I was in college in 2006. I remember I was friends with someone at the time. I won't go into too much details, but I was friends with someone at the time, and I was at their house. And we watched the opening game together, which I believe was Germany. And I remember watching the first half, or maybe all the game, and getting the bus back to mine, going by Asda, picking up 2 tubs of ice cream, and one was like an M&M ice cream, and one was like a similar one, and it was like 2 for £3, I think. Getting them, chucking them in my freezer. That was, again, then Zidane gets sent off in the World Cup final for headbutting Materazzi. And then me and my mates at uni used to, whenever James used to come on in the club, oh Zidane, we used to sing, oh Zidane, oh Zidane, oh Zidane, Zidane headbutt me. Yeah, another great World Cup there. Who knocked England out of that one? Was it Portugal? Was that the famous Ronaldo wink after Rooney got sent off? Oh, was that the one? I hated Ronaldo after that. I mean, I didn't like him to begin with, but I hated him after that, and I couldn't believe that Man United fans were like, nice, he's sound. I'm like, bro, he got England knocked out. For me, it's England first. Like, England first for me. Like, I sound like one of them, you know, England first, you know, like, get them out. But I'm England first. Like, I'm a massive England fan, bro. England over any club. World Cup. What is my memories of World Cup 2010? Being in uni, and I bought the World Cup game. I used to, Road to World Cup 98 on the PlayStation 1. I remember playing that loads. I remember my mate Solomon lending it off his mate, and then he lent it me. And I remember Alan had the World Cup 98 game. We'd play that. I had the World Cup 2002 game that I played by myself. I'm not sure if I had the 2006 game because I couldn't afford I had an Xbox at the time, so maybe I did have it, but I can't remember. World Cup 2010, I bought the game for Xbox, right? Me, my housemate Marcus, and my housemate Ryan at uni. I remember we all sat there, and you could play through the qualifications. So we all took a different African team, and we played through all the qualifications. We all qualified for the World Cup. We got all the way to the semi-finals. One of them, I think Ryan lost against the computer in the semi-final, and then I beat Marcus in the... No, I think Marcus lost against the computer. I beat Ryan, and then I made it to the final, and then I lost against the computer. I was Nigeria. And we'd spent all day playing this game. All day playing it. And it got to the end, and I was supposed to beat it, and I lost, and I was fuming. And then, maybe about a week or so later, we tried it again, and we tried it maybe with South American teams, I can't remember. Either way, I remember I got knocked out in the group stage, and I was fuming, and I took my Xbox, and I took it upstairs, and I wouldn't let them play. Oh, Adam, you were so loser that day. I was so competitive. I was so competitive when I was younger. Honestly, it's something that I've had to really like beat out on myself. But yeah, that was World Cup 2010, and then I remember specifically how good Spain were. And at this time, I had been voted as captain of my uni hockey team for the next year, because that we used to do it as a vote, and you'd be the captain for the next season. I was voted for the captain, and I remember I made loads of notes in a notebook watching that Spain team, because that Spain team for me was a tactical masterclass, that tiki-taka style of moving the ball, short passes. You don't need to worry, and you don't need to be a Messi or a Yamal nowadays, or an Elise or whatever, and dribble through every play. You don't need to do that. Just play it, play it, play it. Have great links between yourselves as well. I want my left back and my left winger to have great links. My right back and my right winger great links. Centre back's great pairing. Also pair up with the guy next to you. Also pair up with the CDM. CDM pair up with the centre mids. Centre mids pair up with the cam. Cam pair up with the striker. The wingers to bank with the striker as well. I remember making loads of notes about this. And I broke down positionally in this notebook what I wanted everyone to do, all based off what I'd seen Spain do. Obviously knowing playing hockey for the last few years. And then I took that to the uni the next year, and then I explained all those things to the lads little bit by little bit. I don't know how much of it got through to them, how much they even remember this, but we won the league that year, and I always put it down to the fact that, one, we got a great intake of first years that year that gave us a really good crop of new players to bolster the team after we'd lost the third years from the year before. But also on top of that, the fact that we'd got I had all this tactical breakdown from watching Spain, and I did that. World Cup 2014, was that Russia? I'll be honest. No, it was 2014 Brazil. It was in. Yeah, World Cup 2014 was in Brazil. And Brazil. I was in my first full-time job. And I remember every team in the office got given a World Cup team and a sweepstake, and we got Brazil. In fact, no, there was about 8 or 9 teams that got given teams, and they all got given like one of the big teams, and we got Brazil, and obviously Brazil didn't win it, but whoever won it was going to get like loads of money for like a team party or whatever, and you could spend it at Asda or whatever and get loads of snacks. That was, I can't remember too much of the games and stuff like that, but that was my memories of that. Generally, World Cup 2018, I was in a new job, and I honestly don't really remember much of World Cup 2018. I don't remember much at all. That was the one, though, where Croatia knocked out England, and I watched that, probably wearing this t-shirt on holiday in Egypt, and watching England get knocked out and just being deflated and being like, oh, it kind of ruined that night on holiday, to be honest. World Cup 2022 was the Winter World Cup, wasn't it? And I was in New York for that World Cup, and I remember going to the houses of a family in New York and watching some games with them and explaining to them like what was so good. And then Hackpaw, the Liverpool striker, or winger you might call him, scored like a 25-year yard, like blasted it into the top corner or something, and even they were like, yeah, I can see why that's impressive. That was very impressive. England played America on our last day of the holiday, actually, and that was boring 0-0, I think it was, and then who won it in the end? England got knocked out by France in the quarters or the semis, and then France went on to lose it to Argentina. Messi got his big moment, and I was really glad for that, because for me, Messi is, he's the greatest player of all time. Right, now, predictions for the World Cup. Let's talk about this. So, who I think is going to win it? I'm going to go with France. I think France are the best team. They've got those players like Dembele, Doué, who've just won the Champions League with PSG. To add to that, players like Mbappe. I just think Elise, they're so strong. They've got such a quality team. I can't see past France, to be honest with you. I say the best 3 teams. If you could give me like 3 teams, I'd say them, Spain, and England as the best 3. I think England will probably... I kind of feel like England will get to the final, They might have to get past Argentina and Brazil, but if they play well, I think they've got a good chance, and I feel like they're stronger than Argentina and Brazil. I really do. But again, I'm a bit of a homer for England, and I do really, 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 really believe. Who's going to be top scorer? I mean, you've got to look at someone like Dembele, probably. maybe a wild card shout would be Elise, because he's not them. He's not like a main striker for them, is they? A safe option would be like a Kane would be a safe option for top scorer. Golden Glove, I think that might be a safe option, and I would go for Jordan Pickford. I think England are going to be really strong defensively, and I think that's what's going to get them all the way there, and I think they might lose. They're going to be the Arsenal of the World Cup, I kind of feel like. Very strong defensively, and then maybe just not enough for the PSG of the World Cup, France, who have just got that better attacking talent, who might just do them. That's kind of where I see it going in terms of that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think that's good. For the World Cup, where have I been gigging this week? Very good question. Thank you for asking me. On Sunday, I was in Hull. Me and Phil Milton went down to Hull. Now, last time I saw Phil, I gave him some food for my mum because it was Eid, and I thought, you know what? Phil's coming to pick me up for this gig. We should give him some food. So I mentioned it to my mum. She said, absolutely. We gave him some food. He said he enjoyed it. Now, I was a bit worried that he might not eat it because it was a very hot day, very warm day that day, and the food was out in the car for a long time, and I thought, oh, might be a bit risky, that. I'll leave you that for you to trust. And he says, yeah, and he said he enjoyed it, so fair enough. We'll just take him in his word. Though, gig in Hull, surprisingly brilliant. It was a small bar, and it was one of those gigs where you get in there, and everyone's like, wow, they are really friendly. And I saw 2 people in there do their first ever gig, and these people weren't amazing because it's your first gig. It's never going to be amazing. But the crowd were being so giving to them and gave them really passable laughs for everything. And I thought, you know what? Quality audience, this. Quality audience. Phil went on, did well. I went on, closed the show. Doug Carter was hosting, enjoyed seeing him. But I enjoyed going on and, doing my stuff and like having a slow start there and building into them. And that was a fun one, man. That was a really fun one being in Hull. Then the next day, I was in Hindley, our final gig at Bar 3 for Roxanne. And she had said, listen, it's going to be our last one. I'll increase the budget a little bit. We want it to be the biggest one we can possibly get. And right when I was about to contact people, I noticed that Tez Ilyas just announced his new tour. So I messaged him and said, listen, bro, do you want to come and do this gig? This is the fee that I can give you because she's up in the fee. And I know that you're going to be working on stuff for your new tour. So if you want, just come and do as much of that as you want. And he agreed to do it. And that's the good thing about making positive relationships with people in stand-up is like I was able to lean on that and give him something that he can get out of it. Not just a fee, but okay, I've got a tour to build up to. Oh, brilliant. Here we go. Here's an audience to do it. So he came and closed, which is great to have someone who's done so much on TV. People really appreciate seeing something, because people appreciate quality acts anyway, but especially someone like that who's done Live at the Apollo, Mock the Week, Man Like More being his own TV show, he's on Netflix, all this kind of stuff. People really appreciate when they come to their small town in a small bar and they get to see them live in that intimate setting. Oliver Bowler opened it. Oliver did a great job as well. In the middle was Nick Sutton and Phil, again, 2 days in a row. In fact, Phil wasn't booked for this. Roxanne had said to me, can we get one more act on? I thought, you know what? I know just the man. When me and Phil were driving back from Hull, I said, hey, Phil, what are you doing tomorrow? He goes, I'm doing nothing tomorrow. You fancy coming to Hindley, mate? You fancy coming to Hindley for a gig? He went, I'll come to Hindley for a gig. Got him a fee as well on top of it. So, yes, he came there, did a good job. I was a bit sad that it was the last one, actually, because as much as I don't like running gigs, I like going and seeing my friends. So getting to spend time with Roxanne, I now know her fellow Sean, so it's lovely to see. It's always lovely whenever I see either of them / both of them. It's lovely to see them both. But then, because I've done it so many times, it's a place where I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable just rocking up, boom, 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 boom. I'm just going to kick out, loads of crowd work, have fun with it, be a bit risky with it, but have a bit of fun with it. And I did that, and I had a great time with it. Then Wednesday, I was back hosting again, two gigs in a row hosting, which I don't do a lot of hosting nowadays. I want to do more, so this is good to build me back into it. Another place where I host a lot. This time it was Easy Cafe in Altrincham by the canal. And this was an interesting one because usually Ben, who runs it, he's usually there. He didn't even tell me he's not going to be there. He's on holiday, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter he's not coming because he set up the group and all that kind of stuff. And then he wrote something talking to the bar people, but tagged me in it going, "Oh, I'm going to be on holiday. Adam will be there. You're left in comfortable hands, whatever." And I thought, well, okay, I guess that's his indirect way of telling me. Either way, I had fun. I had fun doing it. Kimi Atimadi opened. Then we had Danielle Francis. Then it was very international kind of lineup. Then we had Matt Downey. Then we had Emma Morgan, I believe her name is. Then we had, closing the show, Ryan Kenny. Ryan started around the same time as me, but I'd not seen Ryan in maybe 9 months. So I've not seen him in a long time. Now, he had a kid recently, so he's kind of took a little bit of a step back from comedy in terms of like doing the smaller gigs and stuff like that, which I really appreciate. Someone going, do you know what? These are the important things in life, and I need to do the things that make sense for my little lad and to like getting money through the door, and I really, really appreciate that. But it was lovely to see him. Ryan sells his books. Matt even bought a book, sold a few books to audience members. I thought, no, well, that's good quality stuff, that, man. That's good quality stuff that people buy your book. That's nice. Yeah, that's all the gigs I've done. In this next week, I only have 1 gig. Well, I'm only gigging 1 day. I mean, it's actually 2 gigs. So, first of all, okay, I'll talk about it. I'm doing a gig for the Mayor of Bolton. So, I'm a bit nervous about this one because it's a corporate. It's a charity gig at the same time. Probably a lot of stuff that I shouldn't say. So, going into it, I'll probably be really flicking through my Rolodex of jokes and being like, let me see what I can pull out here because it's going to be interesting. But either way, inshallah, I'll make it work. Touch wood and all that. But yeah, that'll be that. And then in the evening, I'm going to Kendal. And I'm going to be in the middle of the show in Kendal. So I can get back. I've looked at the trains and stuff like that, so it should be decent. And then, yeah, those are my 2 gigs. England play on Wednesday, which I'll probably record my next podcast just before that, and I'll chuck it online on the Thursday as usual. But yeah, that's the run of gigs I've got coming up at the moment. Super excited for the World Cup, like super. I'm even thinking as well, I mentioned the sticker album here. I'm actually thinking of buying the stickers again because it is something that I do genuinely love doing, is collecting those stickers. And it really gives me that throwback feeling to when I was young. I remember, I'll tell you this, when we was at uni actually, 2010, me and my housemate Marcus was collecting the stickers. And let's just say, we got a few 5-finger discounts, if you know what I'm saying. We got a lot of 5-finger discounts when it came to those packs of stickers. And we were ripping them like nobody's. We should have kept stacks of them sealed because it would have been worth at least a reasonable amount now, like way more than what we would have paid at the time. But another thing that I've not discussed is a few more drops from the Ham and Fam show. I'm on a few more Guess the Muslims and all that kind of thing. I think one dropped last week where they flipped up the formula a little bit, where it's like 10 grand's on the table, and if they get everyone they get wrong, they lose money. And that one, it was a bit of a tougher shoot, that one, because I was number 1 in the group, and I was like, oh, I'm completely unprepared for this. I actually don't really know what you're going to ask me, where we're going to go with this. I'm trying to riff and I'm trying to go in places, but I've just recorded one before it. I've used a lot of things in the recording before, so how am I going to come up with more stuff here? It was a struggle, that one, for me, I'll be honest, but it was fun. The Tom Zanetti one went out as well. I don't know if I've spoken about that one before, but that one was a fun shoot, and Rashi smashed that one. Rashi absolutely smashed that one. My content's been going good. My content's been going very good, actually. I think I hit about 3.5 million views in the last 30 days on Instagram, and TikTok's doing really well. And I've just got a notification saying I'm running low on storage on this phone. So I'm going to cut this here, guys. That's going to be the podcast. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back next week. We're going to hype up the England team. We're going to hype up the game. Thank you very much for watching.